Hi everyone, this is the first lesson for business math, and it's about conversions from section 3.1. So we're going to do a few different types of conversions, and you'll be using this all through the course. Anytime that you need to go from decimal to percent, percent to decimal, fraction to decimal, and so on, this is kind of the basis for all of that. So first, we're going to be converting decimals to percents. To do that, we're basically multiplying by 100. So we're moving the decimal 2 places to the right, which is the same as multiplying by 100. Sometimes we have to add some zeros, and then we add the percent symbol at the end of the number. So the purple box basically tells you those steps. I'm sure you guys are familiar with this. You've done this before. So when we look at 0.37, we can write that as 37%. Notice we just moved the decimal 2 times, same as multiplying by 100. You can even put it on your calculator and multiply by 100. Also, I want to make in the textbook and on Connect, there's not always a 0 in front of the decimal like you're showing here on the 0.37, and that's fine. I prefer to put the 0 there, but it's okay without. So just something to note there. On the next one, we have the 0.9, and so we're going to move the decimal 2 places, but you'll notice that we don't have 2 places to move. This is where you're going to need another 0 on there, and so when we move it 2 places, we'll end up with 90%. And then on the next one, there's no decimal, but really there is. It's just this is a whole number, and so we don't show the decimal, but really it's after the 5. So then we move the decimal 2 places to the right. That means we'll have to put some zeros on there, and we end up with 500%. So just note, if anything from 1 or higher is going to be over, like 1 is 100%, so then we'll be over 100% for any numbers that are 1 or larger, or over 1, I guess I should say. Now the next one is a very, very small percent, and when we move our decimal 2 places to the right, we're going to be in front of the 8, so it's going to be 0.85. And that is still a percent. And so that's just a very small percent. And it's okay that it's a small percent. So basically it's a percent that's less than 1, right? Less than 1%. Okay, on this one we're going to convert percents to decimals. And I just want to remind you guys that as you're watching the videos, you can pause and you can practice any of these that you want to before you watch what I have to do, or what I'm going to do. So you can always, let me work 1 or 2, and then you pause and you try the next ones and then start it again. And that should just be a common practice for you as you're learning. So converting percents to decimals. Notice step 1 says drop the percent symbol, move the decimal, step 2, move the decimal point 2 places to the left. This is the same as dividing by 100. And once again, we'll put zeros in wherever we might need them. All right, so let's look at this first one, 0.2%. So we're going to take the percent off, and then we're going to move the decimal 2 places to the left, which means we're going to have 0.002, and my decimal will be right here. We don't put a percent symbol. If you accidentally put a percent symbol on something that's not supposed to have a percent symbol, then you just totally change the meaning of that number. So you want to be careful with that. The next one is 6%, and the decimal currently is right here. Once again, it's one of those numbers where we don't have a decimal written because it's not necessary. But to move it 2 places left, then we'll have a 0 in front of the 6, so it'll be 0.06. Okay, same thing on the 35. That's really where our decimal is, and then we're going to move it to the left 2 places, so 0.35. If you want, like I told you on the other one, you can put this on your calculator and actually divide 35 by 100, and you'll see that this is what you get. Sometimes students will get mixed up and go the wrong direction, and so you might want to just think through that, and hopefully you'll realize, oh, okay, this is how the decimal is when it's in a decimal form versus percent form. Sometimes using money is helpful when you're trying to figure that out. So if you just think about how money's written and what it means, that can be a helpful thing. Okay, so on this next one, we're going to move the decimal 2 places to the left, which is going to put it between the 7 and the 4. I'm going to take that back off there. So it's going to be 7.485, and then that is the decimal number, right? Anything above 1 is going to be over 100%. This was way above 1, right? Because we're at 7.485. All right, next. Okay, so now we get a little more complicated because we're throwing in some fractions, but you will have to work with fractions from time to time. We don't do anything drastic with them, just some basic stuff. And so notice it says that we're going to convert from percents to decimals. Now, the first thing we have to convert is the fraction part of the percent to a decimal, and then we'll take that percent and convert it to a decimal. And so you can look at the steps, right? Convert a single fraction to the decimal equivalent and so on. And then if you have a whole number in there, we're going to convert the decimal, the fraction part to a decimal first. And so, well, it's still part of the percent. You'll see what I'm talking about as we go here. All right, so we're going to take the 1 and divide it by 4, which is 0.25. Now, that is actually still a percent, because all I did was I took 1/4 and I changed it to 0.25, but it's still part of the, where did it go? Sometimes my program starts doing some weird stuff. Let me try writing this again. So we had, okay, so thankfully I have a pause button here, and then I can try to get back what I was working on. All right, so now we're at the decimal that is still a percent, right? And you don't want to get confused about this. We just took the fraction, changed it to a decimal percent, and then we change it to a decimal number, right, of a decimal value. So it's going to be 0.0025, because remember, when we go from percent to decimal, we're moving the decimal 2 places to the left. On the next one, we're going to convert 3/4 first. All right, so we're going to take 3 divided by 4, which is 0.75. So now we have 5.75%. And after we've written it this way, now we can go ahead and convert it to a decimal number, which is 0.0575. Okay, so you'll just have to work with this to keep yourself from being confused. On the next one, I'm going to change colors here. We're going to take 3 divided by 8, and that is 0.375. So now we have 42.375%. It's still in percent form because all I did was convert the fraction part of this to a decimal. Anything after the decimal is equivalent to a fraction. And then in decimal form, we're going to move that decimal 2 places to the left, so it'll be in front of the 4, and that's 0.4237. And in these cases, unless you're told to round for some reason, you just leave it like it is. Okay. Now, on this next one, we're going to be doing some converting, and we're going to go from fractions to percents. And I think that I'm going to stop the video here, and then I will record a second video because I may run out of time. And I try to keep these less than 15 minutes. Okay, so we'll pick this up on the next video.